Good morning, Radio Chicken. My name is Matt, the host. This is episode 3, broadcast 3, coming to you live. I am sitting in wonderful upstate New York, and I'm probably lying a little bit about the wonderful, but joining me is in the wonderful state of North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, the city of Oaks, my co-host Kristen, our chickenista. Kristen, good morning.
Good morning, Matt.
How was your weekend?
It was absolutely wonderful. Lots of chicken news. I hatched out a batch of bantams from my favorite bantam breeder, Mark in Wake Forest. And I have all sorts of little bantams. I've got Saramas, Pinchons, and let's see, there was some cuckoo marans, which are not usually bantams, but I have some of those as well. And I gave them to a mother hen.
You did.
Hmm.
Well, I'm actually glad you mentioned that because we actually are going to have a caller call in this morning. I can't wait to talk to her because she has um, one of our chicken coops down in Alabama. It's a very popular coop, a great popular video. And she's had some good luck and some bad luck. And I definitely would love to hear what's going on with her. Would love to hear what you have to say about that. But real quick, so you hatched these baby chicks yourself.
Yes, I actually had a large batch. I don't know, maybe he gave me 3 dozen. And I put some in 2 different incubators, and I also put some under 2 different hens. The hens hatched their own. They did pretty well. But the 3 broodies I had in the coop, I knew one wasn't ready because it hadn't been 3 weeks. The other two, it had been 3 weeks. So I did something a little bit different this time, just experiment. I took the 2 broody hens who had been sitting over 2 weeks and put them in a cardboard box overnight in the house with the 12 chicks underneath. And in the morning, I set them out, and one of them went back to the nest, and the other one kept the 12. I guess it was more of like an insurance policy to put two in a box. Sometimes I do this and I'll get a box of 25 chicks and just put them in the coop with the 7 broody hens. And in the morning, they sort it out. Some hens end up with one, some end up with 10. I don't know. It's kind of
It's kind of a crapshoot a
haphazard.
little bit.
Yeah, it is, but it's fun. I just like to try different things.
So if you're listening right now, and you maybe didn't catch the very beginning, I was just asking Kristen how her weekend went. And one of my favorite things I love to talk to people about is how to introduce new hens, maybe younger hens, to an existing flock. And there's no better way to do it than how nature has intended it, right?
That's right.
Right. And I've been in awe watching Kristen do this over the years, and I'll never forget the moment. I thought this was impossible, and I want to share this with everyone because I've seen it firsthand. I want to say, yeah, you had a mama hen go broody, and you also had her take on, adopt, accept, like it hatched one of her own, a baby duck or
Oh
ducks.
yeah. Yeah, broody hens can raise baby turkeys, baby ducks. It's absolutely possible to use different types of poultry.
That is incredible. So I definitely want to talk a little bit more about that. So coming up here very, very soon is Shelly from Alabama. She has one of our custom coops, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say about her experience. I'm trying to remember how when we did her coop. Maybe someone can chime in with a note real quick. I want to say it was probably last September, October. It was hot. It was really hot. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. But also, before we get into that, we also have Jessica from Nashville, Tennessee, with us right now. Jessica joined our team. I'm scared to say, has it been a month maybe already, Jessica?
I think it's been a little over a month already.
Oh my gosh, how time flies. Can you believe this is our third live broadcast?
I cannot believe it. You're doing great.
Well, thank you. And so are you. So Jessica has been, and correct me if I'm wrong with the title, our growth marketer.
Hmm.
We
That's
like that.
correct.
And she brings to the table all the things that I have no clue how to do. And she's teamed up with Ingrid, who's been with us maybe 3, 4 years now, helping just make sure everyone learns about Carolina coops. And one of the things I'm so excited about this. I love to give. This whole show is about giving. But I needed everyone's help to figure out how to do that right. And right before in our pre-show, Ingrid warns me, "Oh, Matt, there's legalities you got to follow." So hopefully we will work on that. I'm hoping I'm not getting in trouble over giving away this week's. Hopefully we're gonna do this weekly. This week's gift.
I think we'll be okay.
Awesome. So Jessica, can you do me a favor and walk us through and I need to learn as well how people can win. And I believe maybe by now we already maybe have a winner. I would love to know how you chose the winner. So what can people do to enter for the weekly contest, and how does all this work?
Great. So this week we are giving away the Fluffy Layers a collecting apron. And if you are a follower of Carolina Coops on Instagram, it's just at Carolina Coops, you would have seen that we created a timeline post where all you have to do to enter is tag 3 friends who you think might be interested in listening to Radio Chicken. And so that's pretty much it. We had a few dozen entries and chose our winner completely randomly. And let me pull up that winner's handle.
Oh, hold on. Don't give it away yet.
Oh, not yet.
No, not yet. So
Okay.
that was brilliant. Okay, so thank you. I'm still have no clue. I tell you, this is what happens when you get old. I have no clue what you're talking. So I'm still trying to learn what the ad is. So you go to Instagram and you see our story, and then down in comments, you'll put in like how you tag people, right? If you got some friends you think might be interested in listening to Radio Chicken, you put in those 3 names, and that enters them. And hopefully, please, if you are one of those people that you had one of those wonderful friends that introduced you to Radio Chicken, follow, subscribe over at YouTube, do all those good things. It's all about building the audience, and hopefully you're going to love the show, and then also do the same thing. So I thought maybe, should we announce the winner now, or should we wait towards the end of the show?
Gosh, that's up to you. I hope she's listening.
So it's a she. Okay, so there's a clue. I think I'd like to wait a little bit. I'd like to announce the winner. Maybe you can put it in the notes. Maybe you can text me the name, and we'll do that maybe around 11 a.m. Maybe that's when the show's supposed to end. But I know we always spill over. But I think that was a great explanation, Jessica. Thank you so much for explaining that. Thank you for everything you're doing behind the scenes to make sure we look cool on social media.
No problem.
Awesome.
You guys have a great show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Kristen. So did you do that? I didn't do it. I'm guilty. I didn't tag some more listeners. I guess I should have.
No, I have too many eggs to fit in that apron.
Well, you know what? And then I can't win, but yet, actually, technically, I'm always tagging people to listen to the show. So, yeah, so she made it says, how did she describe it? It was a great description. The egg collecting apron.
How many eggs does it hold?
Oh, great question. Of course, you would put me on the spot. It holds 10 eggs safely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd be taking so many trips.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but it is cool. And again, I do want to mention this was actually, so it's from Fluffy Layers, but technically the company that we absolutely love, we buy wholesale all our auto chicken doors from myfavoritechicken.com. Great group of people down there in Texas, and they donated that. So I definitely want to give them a shout out. And what we're going to be working on in the future of the show is working on that. What's that term where you sponsor each other?
Cross promotion?
Cross promotion. See, I don't know all the fancy terms. You guys are good at this. I got to remember all
Yeah,
this.
Jess would know. I think I heard her say that yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Cross promotion. So I think what we'll do is figure out who's the winner later on in the show. Give us something to build up to. So I have Shelly online. Are we ready to talk to Shelly?
Yes.
I'm excited. I am excited. Shelly, hold on one second. And for our listeners, we've had, hopefully we worked out all the bugs. We are up to, so we got 26 listeners right now. All 26 of you, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions and you want to call in, 929-32-COOPS, please call in if you have your questions. And also just want to let you know very soon, too, we're going to have Bethany coming in, who is a horticulturalist, and she is going to talk to us about companion planting.
Oh, I'm excited about that too. This is awesome.
Yes, this is going to be a good show. We're getting it. We're getting it. So thank you, everyone, for helping make this show possible. All right, so let's get Shelly. I'm going to click here. I hope this works. Shelly from Alabama. Good morning.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Shelly.
It is so
Can
good
y'all
to
hear
hear
me?
your voice. I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear us
I
okay?
do too.
I can hear you. I don't know if I can hear Kristen or not.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, Jimmy's going to work on that. Definitely critical that you're able to hear Kristen, because she's the one that I definitely can't wait to hear what she has to say about some of the troubles that I guess you've been having with the coop. Actually, not with the coop. Let me rephrase that. With some of the things that you're doing that we were just talking about. So, Shelly, good morning. Jimmy, work on maybe we can try to figure out why she can't hear Kristen. So, real quick, everyone, for all our listeners, Shelly has this big, beautiful custom coop. Shelly, how long ago did we put that in for you?
You guys came in mid-September. My chicks arrived on September 16th, and I think it might have been the hottest day of the year. I tried to warn them that it was not a good place to come in September, but they came anyway.
Yes, we did. We actually, I'll never forget, we still have, we bought a 4-foot drum fan. It was so hot, we had to go buy a drum fan to cool us down and make it somewhat tolerable. But that was one of the best trips we've ever been on. It was absolutely amazing. So Shelly has that big coop in Alabama. It's the brown one, has that beautiful cedar roof. And real quick, Shelly, I wanted to go over a couple things because some people, especially from the comments on the YouTube video, one of the ones that stuck out in my mind is something that was very special about your chicken coop, and that is, well, one, we had to time it perfectly. You baby chicks came in, and you were able to use the hen house as the brooder. How did that go for you?
So we used that hen house and as the brooder at the first day they came in. And of course, as a new chicken owner, I was way over prepared and had bought the really expensive kit from Murray McMurray, and they had the little walls and all of the fancy stuff. But in the end, all they really needed was their little Brincia warmer that they climbed under. And we went ahead and Matt undid one of the bales of hemp, and we kind of just turned them loose in the chicken coop, or the hen house, I'm sorry, and they stayed in there for, I would say probably until they were old enough to go down the little ladder. We have the new design ladder, so there's space between each step, so we had to make sure they didn't fall through and all that, but they were really happy, and I really think that it helped them learn, first of all, to roost, because they started using their little low roost bars right by their nesting boxes, and they were on their real roost probably by like 6 or 7 weeks.
Perfect.
So, they didn't have any examples of older chickens to teach them, and so I think it did help them acclimate much faster than keeping them in the house
Awesome.
and that kind of thing.
Awesome. So let me ask
Well,
you. So I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh
One
no,
thing,
that's just perfect example of chicken instincts. They're just natural. Them
yeah,
using the roost bars.
absolutely. And what the whole idea for all our listeners is, it's not fun, especially if you're waiting on Carolina coops to show up months later after you got your baby chicks or your chicken coop. But when you have the ability to order your baby chicks, whether it's through the mail, you go pick them up at the local hatchery, when you can use your hen house as a brooder, you eliminate that transition period, and that's what Shelly did, and that just, I think, saves a major step, and they're already learning that's home. But here's the other thing. You mentioned, yeah, we use the industrial hemp. I had some people that said, oh no, don't use industrial hemp for the bedding for the baby chicks. Did you have any issues with the industrial hemp as the litter inside your hen house working as the brooder?
No. So I understand the concern because they do pack up little pieces of this stuff, but they know the difference between food and hemp, and I never had any of them overconsume hemp. As a matter of fact, I've got right now 8 baby chicks, and if you look at the video, you'll see how my hen house is set up. But I've got a walk-in storage area at the back side of the hen house, and I have 8 baby chicks back there right now because of long story of a bad broody mama. But they are in their fancy little enclosure, which came in handy finally, and they have hemp on the floor, so it's keeping my floor nice and neat, and they already are in their hemp. And so this is my second time with baby chicks in hemp, and I have had no issues.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So now you had a hen go broody, and then you did actually allow the hen to hatch some fertile eggs, if I remember correctly, in the beginning.
Yeah, so we we've done a little bit of everything. I have a 10-year-old, and we had a hen go broody right around Mardi Gras, and so we were home from school, and I let him give her about 5 eggs. 4 of them were fertilized, and only 2 hatched. So it was a good learning experience for him, and we candled and all that kind of stuff. But we let that broody hen hatch in the nesting box. And the funny story was I called Matt on a Saturday. He does answer the phone on Saturdays. I might not should tell anybody that.
Thank you.
But I called him on a Saturday and I said, this broody mama has hauled her baby down the ladder. And I guess just tucked her up in the wing and took her down the ladder. And so we called Kristen, and Kristen said, well, let's just set her up at the bottom. She wants to be out of the hen house. So she ended up finishing her job in the chicken run, actually, and she did a great job. So we kind of utilized every part. But the same hen went broody again, and we ordered some chicks because we have too many roosters. And we hopefully have 8 more hens, but when I tried to slip out the eggs that she was sitting on and slip the hens in, she started pecking at the babies. So we had to take those away. So anyway, we've tried it several different ways.
So what happens, Kristen, when the mama hen rejects the baby chicks? I'm not sure if that's rare or not. Is there any tips or any ideas why that might happen?
Yeah, I've done this so many times. I do it every single year with, I don't know, 7 or 10 hens that go broody. Typically, I've noticed that when there's an issue, it hasn't been the full 21 days, or I get lazy and I try to do it during the day. You really have to do it at night. And sometimes it helps to leave an egg under her, maybe a couple eggs, so she stays on the nest. She thinks that there's 1 or 2 left to hatch. When you slip the babies under her, that'll nest, and it kind of does the same thing as what I did with the cardboard box in the house. You're really forcing that imprint, both for the baby chick to the mother and the mother to the baby chicks.
So timing. So actually, we should do a quick audio check, as Shelly said she couldn't hear you earlier. Shelly, were you able to hear Kristen?
I could not, but I have a suspicion it was about timing.
Yes. Okay, so we got to figure out, Jimmy, if we can figure out what is going on, why the listeners cannot hear Kristen, because I love what she just said. So what she did say is timing is important to make sure you take out, maybe in this case, most of the eggs at night and then put the baby chicks underneath the mama hen, but to leave 2 eggs so that she will instinctively, I guess, still sit on the eggs, feeling like there's a couple more that have to hatch. Right, Kristen?
Right. Just for maybe one night, one day, one night, just to make sure that they imprint.
Yes. All right. So, Shelly, I'm so sorry you couldn't hear Kristen's response. When it's recorded, or well, we're recording now, when Jimmy does the editing, you'll be able to hear that. So I apologize. Hopefully our listeners can hear Kristen too. Hopefully maybe we can get a couple thumbs up. And also, I wanted to mention too, before I forget, if you have any questions for us and you want to get on the air, 929-32-COOPS. And also, I didn't know this, you can text in 929-32. That'd be 929-32-26677. You can shoot us a text that'll come up on our board and we'll answer some questions. So, Shelly, I hope, again, thank you so much for your time calling in, and hope that things will continue to get better. I know it's also great what you're doing, especially for your son. That's one thing I'll never forget. When I was young and I had actually the worst teacher of my life, had me hatch baby chicks, and it changed my life. So I just love what you're doing, and thank you so much for the compliments, and I can't wait. Hopefully very soon we're going to be back down in Alabama to do a follow-up, and we'll be able to come out and see your coop and your gardens too. It's amazing the landscape you put in.
Hey, Matt, if
All right, well, thanks. You guys come when it's a little nicer weather next time.
We will do. Thank you, Shelly.
The Florabama is always open, though.
Love Florabama. If anyone's ever trying to figure out a hidden gem in this country to go visit, Florabama. I honestly, that was probably one of my favorite places in this country, especially to go visit Floribama. So, Shelly, you have no idea. We still talk about that trip today.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I have to say that I have a lot of friends that have chickens, and they've had a lot of bad things happen. And if anybody doubts why you buy a Carolina coop, it's because your chickens are safe. They have got it figured out. It is, I cannot say enough good things.
Thank you.
So, your chickens are safe. It is so well planned and figured out. There's no better way to go. It's just worth every penny, all the time that we waited, all the time we planned. It's just I can't say enough good things.
Well, thank you, Shelly. For all our listeners, I had no idea. I did not expect that. Thank you. I did not ask her, pay her to say any of that. But the reason why I can't thank you enough for saying that is that's it. And whether you're looking at one of our coops and you're wondering why, or if you're building your own, this is why it's so important. Please learn from us. So, Shelly, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Matt.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. Matt, if our listeners would like to see that video, where can they find that? What is that called on YouTube?
That's a great question. Ingrid, send me in what that description is. I should have that memorized, but that is a great point. We're talking about these videos, and if you haven't been to the Carolina Coops YouTube channel, there are so many great videos out there to watch what we've done. And what we've learned is people have learned from us. So many people have called us, emailed us. I even had some customers send in donations that we've donated to local animal shelters, just saying thank you so much for what you're doing. Couldn't have built my own coop without you guys. And I just think that is absolutely awesome. So we'll mention the name of that particular video, hopefully very soon. Ingrid can text in and let us know what is the name of that video. Let's post a new link at Carolina Coops on Facebook, Instagram, possibly, so we can get that up for the people. Alrighty, well, we are ready. Bethany is on standby. We're going to bring her in here. We are going to talk about companion planting. I am very excited. If you guys have any questions, especially about what do I do to grow plants, vegetables, trees, whatever. I'll never forget when we were out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where we first met Bethany as our contact at that chicken coop. I had to learn fodder. I had no idea. Now I use that word all the time. Bethany, good morning. Can you hear us okay?
Hey, good morning, guys. I can hear you both just fine.
Good morning, Bethany.
Can you hear me?
We hear you
Yes.
loud and clear. I hope our listeners are having such a good experience as well as we are. We are continuing to make sure we perfect the show. And for the record, Jimmy's been working really hard. He's over my shoulder. I know you can't see him, but trust me, he's behind me, working a bunch of buttons. And we got a new mixer in. We're gonna keep continuing to invest and hopefully continue to make the show the best it can be. And with that said, I forgot to mention in the last couple shows that if you have any advice, ideas, thoughts, anything, help us make this show because we do it for you guys. Well, of course, I do it to make sure everyone learns about CarolinaCoops.com, but let us know that we absolutely love to do this.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And so, Bethany, so awesome to talk to you again. Congratulations on the new business.
Thank you.
What's the name of the new business?
Environmental Harmony.
I love that name. I'm assuming you came up with that name.
I did.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. So also, speaking of videos, if you get a chance to go to YouTube, you'll see the video Bethany and I did together. Don't remember the name of that video, Ingrid. Let me know, but it was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, a big, beautiful chicken coop, and Bethany was our contact. We did an awesome video. So many people comment on that part. Apparently, I made a crazy facial expression about ewe manure, that you actually went to Africa and composted ewe manure.
Oh my gosh, I saw that in the comments. That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. And so this is quite a change. So you went from being the caretaker of everything growing at that property so that they can feed.
I was working as a food production manager for a private estate in Santa Fe for the last couple of years. And my background's in permaculture. I've always wanted to do something where I can affect local food systems a little bit more. I love growing food for private clients in one family is great, awesome experience, but I really wanted to be able to have a little bit more of a ripple effect in the community at large. So this opportunity presented itself in Maryland, and I've moved across the country and started Environmental Harmony.
That
We're focused on edible landscaping and eco-friendly maintenance services. We're installing green roofs, but primarily we're doing the edible landscaping on urban and suburban scale, trying to bring food growing back to the cities and the suburbs.
that
Oh, and
is
how timely too. That's fantastic. It's so exciting.
It is so exciting. I really hope that, all this recent chaos is making people realize how important it is that we have that security in our local communities again.
food security. That is something that those are two words put together recently. I can't remember who, but man, yeah, especially now, what two powerful words, food security. And this is why there's definitely been a major uptick in people wanting to raise backyard chickens. So, Bethany, I'm really excited, and hopefully I don't hog up with too many questions because I know so little, but I know this is a very important subject, and there's a lot of great advice that you'll bring. And I also do want to mention, too, make sure that we're able to team up. I love green roofs, and we haven't done a green roof since the custom coop we did at Duke University probably about 10 years ago. And I would love nothing more than to be able to work together on that. So I'm excited. So talk to us. Talk to us. What do we need to know? We got a chicken coop. Do we start with the garden? Do we start with the garden, then the chicken coop? Walk us through it.
All right. Well, I'd like to just touch on what permaculture is, first of all, because every time I say, oh, yeah, I'm a permaculture designer, most people just look blankly back at me. So permaculture is a term that was coined by two Australian gentlemen back in the 70s. It means permanent agriculture, and it's essentially a design technique for creating sustainable human environments that function with nature. So it's amazing. It's based in ethics, and it's all about like stacking functions, giving every element of the landscape or the ecosystem multiple uses. So taking the companion planting and permaculture approach with chickens, I would just urge people to start thinking about growing edible plants around their coops and in their chicken runs that can supplement the diets of their birds, so that chickens need a really varied diet just like we do. And I know that anytime I've had chickens that haven't had access to a large area where they can forage for some of their food, definitely the quality of the egg goes down. So you'll certainly notice having these plants around that the chickens can just graze off of, that will attract insects, that they're going to be producing a much more nutrient dense eggs, and they'll just be happier, healthier birds.
That is so true.
So, like, for instance, I would say, in thinking about plants to plant around your coop and your run, let's say maybe you have a neighbor on one side. You don't really like that presence so much. You'd like to have a little bit of privacy. You could pick like sunflowers. So the multiple function there, the sunflowers are going to provide some shade for your birds if planted along that side of the coop. They'll provide a screen and allow for privacy from the neighbors. They're edible and they're beautiful.
What a killer point. And I'm a huge fan of sunflowers. I love sunflowers. And I bet you so many people listening can relate. We always have that one neighbor that's like, oh boy, not too sure about this. I even had one customer, she planted cypress trees or arborvitae. She had to grow something. She had to wait 10 years for them to get tall enough before we could bring her chicken coop in.
Oh, Matt, what if we are those neighbors?
I think we'll be fine.
Right? We're all unknowingly that neighbor.
So what a great idea. So sunflowers, is there any particular, like I know there's different types of sunflowers, right?
There are different types of sunflowers, yes.
So is there a
I
particular
would just-
sunflower? If I was to go out right now and I wanted to grow sunflowers to provide the food, the shade, and make sure my neighbors don't see, is there a particular species?
Well, Helianthus is the genus sunflower. I would just go for the really the varieties that have been bred to be really tall with the large heads. You can get more and more a lot of like the lower growing kind of bushing sunflowers, which are great for like cut flowers. but they're not going to really provide as much shade and privacy as you might want in a chicken coop kind of scenario. And
I
I would
think,
urge, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kristen.
oh, I just have to ask, how do you keep the chickens from eating the seeds before they germinate? Or when they're seedlings, how do you keep the chickens from scratching them up and destroying them?
That's a really good question. I mean, I would try to just limit the amount of time that the chickens have to those plants while they're seedlings, I guess, planting them on the outside of the run instead of on the inside, so that as they grow larger, the sunflower seeds are going to just kind of fall like rain all throughout that area and become available to the chickens. But I would try to separate them while they're growing from the chickens directly.
Okay.
And you mentioned growing inside the run. So to be,
Yes,
is that
yes.
possible? You know, one of the things I'm always a huge advocate of is having a solid roof run. And is that possible to grow something for the chickens inside the run if there's a solid roof, or is it better to have a screen roof to do something like this?
Well, I like the variety of having that solid roof run, like in the coop that you designed that I worked with in Santa Fe, coupled with the ability for the chickens to kind of go out and explore a little bit of a larger area. So with the solid roof run, obviously you're preventing rain from entering the enclosure, so it's going to make growing conditions really difficult for any plant. I would think that I didn't try to grow anything inside that run, but if I were to have, I would probably have needed to hand water or irrigate those plants, and also, selected plants that would do all right in the shade and like bolster the bases of them with some kind of protection while they grew to size, because there was nothing growing in that space. The chickens would have been like fully focused on that.
All right, and just decimate them. So, you
Right.
know, one of the things I want to mention, the point you just made in the beginning as we go forward, is the difference when chickens can free range and they're able to go feed on whether it's sunflower seeds or maybe some grapevines. You know, hopefully they can eat. I think they can eat grapes. But that helps make the eggs taste so much better, and not to mention saves you on chicken feed as far as costs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I mean, I would really think it would be amazing to encourage people to integrate their like kitchen gardens into a system with their chicken coop. So if you imagine with me, at the center, you have your beautiful Carolina coop, and then you have like a run surrounding that where the chickens can come out of the coop and go wandering around. Off of that run, you have a series of gates on both sides just for easy access that lead you into another kind of layer. Like if you imagine a whirlpool, or a tree that's been cut, and you've got the different rings. So you've got the coop in the center, the chicken run outside of that. Outside of that, you have a fenced in area where all of your garden beds are. And that's protected from the chickens by gates. The chickens can go out to an even further perimeter run. So you've got run, garden, run, coop. With this kind of a setup, if you leave those gates open so that the chickens have access to the perimeter run at all times, they're going to protect your garden from snails, from slugs, from rabbits, from mice, from all these little creatures that are going to want to come and eat your leafy greens, eat your broccoli, eat all your vegetables. The chickens having that access to the perimeter run, they're naturally like carnivores, and they're omnivores, right? But they have certainly a taste for meat, and they will, like, I've seen them destroy mice that stepped into their cage. It's pretty brutal.
Let me stop you there for a second. I'm in awe right now. So, I just want to make sure I heard this correctly. And being a bug guy at 15 years, I get a little excited as soon as I hear about what we called biological pest control. And in this case, and this is one of the huge benefits of having chickens, is letting them go out and eat the pests. Like we always hear about, guineas, guineas go out there and they're notorious for eating ticks. So, but to set it up strategically, so you're saying, you mentioned it real quick, and I was trying to make the notes and I lost you. You had it run, garden, coop. Did I hear you correctly there?
Coop in the center, run just out from that. garden just out from that, and a second run on the perimeter. So that if you need to, if you're working in the garden, you want to close off that inner gate so the chickens only have access to their interior run for that time. Great. When you're like rotating the garden in the fall, cleaning up all of the debris from the year of growing, just open those gates, let the chickens run in those beds. They're going to turn the soil for you. They're going to take down any extra green matter that's in there. As you're weeding your garden throughout the season, just toss it over into the chicken run, and then the chickens are going to eat all of those garden scraps for you. And you could plant a tree in that garden space to provide, like I would choose probably a Siberian pea shrub because it's really high in protein. It's going to drop peas that the chickens can eat. That'll be awesome for them. Fixes nitrogen. It's beautiful. And it would provide not only like shade in the run area for the chickens, but shade for your garden. For part of your garden, you can be planting your like really tender greens and things.
Can the Siberian pea shrub be grown anywhere?
It can be grown pretty much anywhere in the northern hemisphere.
No.
North America.
No kidding. That I've never heard that before. Kristen, have you ever heard of the Siberian pea shrub?
No, and I love gardening too. So this is exciting.
Yeah, this is incredible. Bethany, do you have a visual map or layout? I would love if you have something already drawn up, maybe something you show your customers as a visual that we can upload maybe to our social media later on. But I tell you, this just makes so much sense. I kind of feel a little dumb that I never thought about it, but what a great selling point for a lot of the people that are on the fence. Should I get chickens or not? There's obviously so many benefits to having chickens, but then to be able to explain it, where I always tell people, let the chickens work. And people are like, well, you're not a very good pet lover. Yeah, let them work. That's when they're the happiest. And now you can make sure you're telling them which department to go to. You get in there and you start working.
Yeah,
for sure.
I went on that site survey just yesterday, and that customer wanted a chicken coop and a garden in the same space. And we stood there trying to figure this out, and we ended up almost with that design that Bethany mentioned. But it was the chicken coop and garden, but not the additional pieces. So I'm going to go back to that customer and propose exactly this.
Yeah, so
This is
basically,
very timely.
right, you're creating an outside layer of protection, of chicken force fields for those chickens to surround that garden area. So your snails and any other pests for the gardening, no pesticides, biological pest control. That is just absolutely incredible. Now, you mentioned with gates, I'm assuming you can also do the same thing with what a lot of people call chunnels, where we could actually maybe have a chicken tunnel to bypass that garden area maybe during the growing season, right? Once you want them getting out there, but obviously they're going to love to get into the gardens, but to make sure they bypass the garden area to get into that outer layer of protection.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. And for me personally, with this design, like I have dogs, so my dogs have free reign of the yard on the outer, beyond that outer run. So they protect the chickens protect the garden, and then those 3 layers of runs are just that extra level of security from raccoons or possums or anything that might be trying to break into your coop. Although I know with like what your last caller said, it's so true. That Carolina coop is very, very high security.
Thank you. So
Raccoons are not getting in there.
Bethany, I definitely want to continue going on with you educating us, but we have some questions coming in, and I'm not sure exactly how much time we have, but this is good. This is really good. For all our listeners out there, if you have questions for Bethany, if you have any questions for Bethany, please call in directly, 929-32-COOPS. Well, but I didn't ask Bethany, would you be willing to take on some callers maybe?
Yeah, let's try it out.
I would absolutely love to do that.
I have all the answers, but I do have Google at my fingertips, so
Well,
I'm sure we can.
This is what I love, even about our video that we did out in Santa Fe and everyone I work with. I can't stand the people like, oh, I know everything. Those people know nothing. This is what I love about, with Kristen and you and just Ingrid, everyone we work with. We don't know all the answers, but that's what makes us honest is we're willing to tell you, well, we don't know, but we're going to go find out. And if not, put it to the test. So no worries there. And of course, everyone out there, if you want to text us a question, which I think is what's coming in, Jimmy sending me some notes. Kristen, are you seeing the notes on your end?
Yes. And these are some of the same questions that I have and I get all the time. Hot Mess Hen asks, are there plants that you should not plant around chickens? Anything that they shouldn't eat in mass quantities?
From what I know, and you probably know more than I do about this, Kristen, but I know that chickens kind of have an innate knowledge of what is toxic for them and what is not. So I know in my experience raising chickens, and farmer friends of mine have just kind of given the chickens the ability to eat whatever and trusted them not to eat things that are going to be bad for them, and that has worked really flawlessly. I mean, I do know that like daffodils aren't good for chickens. Daphne, foxglove, uh, geraniums, different kind of like ornamental plants that I might not put a lot of around the chickens, especially if they don't have access to other forage foods, and they might just be like really tempted to go in there and eat all your daffodils.
Yeah, I've had the same experience where I've just thrown out everything as far as compost goes and let my chickens have free range to whatever they want to eat. And aside from the one exception, and that's moldy bread, they they seem to know what to eat, and I
Yeah,
just don't sweat it.
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear you
such
say
a
that.
huge topic all the time, and I love the people. I even had one time, I'll never forget. It's an older video. I said giving them the leftover pizza, and people were like, "That's gonna make the chickens obese." I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what am I dealing with here? What am I getting into?" But you know, I have not seen them really. I mean, exactly what you just said. I think that's such an important point, and they know what they want to eat and not eat. And I know right now we probably got some people freaking out. We should go check our social media. No, don't give them apples. They're going to eat the seeds and going to die from the arsenic, things like that.
Yeah, I
So,
saw it. Like I've seen online people claiming that you should never give chickens nightshades, like tomatoes and
Oh, they
eggplant,
love tomatoes.
peppers. I know. I was really surprised to see that because I mean I've given our chickens like so many tomato leaves and things as we're pulling all of that off in the fall, and they just were all totally fine. I think they primarily ate tomato plants for like 2 or 3 days last fall. I'm reading this like, oh no, well maybe it must not be true.
exactly, and the one thing that, Kristen mentioned about the moldy bread, that's what I tell people. They really, if you can eat it, they can eat it. But if it's moldy, they don't do well with mold. It's very
Hmm.
toxic to the chicken. So don't feed them anything moldy. But I tell you, even our chickens, they love the coffee grounds, sour milk.
Hmm.
The other day we had leftover lo mein. They love the noodles. It's just absolutely incredible. So let me just sum up real quick because we kind of bounced all over the place. There really isn't anything to not. Well, let's see. What was the question again? Not to grow. What could be toxic to grow around the chickens, right? If I remember the question.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Thank you. See, it's just that simple, folks. Again, if you're on the fence, think about getting chickens. You're like, oh my gosh, I got nightshade growing. I love my tomatoes. Don't overthink it, And again, this is the whole point of this show: is we are chicken people, and this is what I love to do. I bring in the pros, bring in the experts, and bring in people that have done this for years. And it's just not that
Chickens just have great instincts. I mean, I
exactly.
just say that over and over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was a great question. So after this force field of how to stage your back area, what's some other things we should think about with that companion planting and some other things that you have advice for us?
I just go back to stacking the functions. If you're trying to figure out how something works in your garden, what's going to be the lowest maintenance solution for you so that you utilize that system so that it's easy. Like we've got this amazing deep litter method in the Carolina coops. So that's going to be eventually composted. Now you've got your garden right around your chicken coop. To the back, put your 3 compost bins. You're cleaning out your coop once a year, once every 2 years. All of that bedding goes right in your compost pile. All your garden scraps go right in your compost pile. If you need help turning it a little bit, let your chickens out there. They're going to go nuts. I mean, you could even go as far as, like, I've designed home systems where you've got a greenhouse off of the kitchen for year-round vegetable production in an enclosed space. You back your coop up onto that greenhouse. You create a nesting box opening in the greenhouse. All you have to do is walk out of your kitchen into your greenhouse, get your eggs in the morning. The greenhouse heats the chicken coop at night. The coop heats the greenhouse all these symbiotic relationships that can be created here. Another really great plant for planting around chickens in forage sort of situations where they have a larger run space be like comfrey. Chickens love comfrey. Comfrey also creates an awesome compost tea for your garden, and it can be separated really easily. So you've got one comfrey plant, you can separate it many times and have a lot more. Mullein, super fun plant for kids, really great for your lungs. It's an awesome medicinal. Chickens love it. It's great for chickens. Amaranth. I would just think about, perennial edible crops that are going to spread easily on your property in those forage areas for the chickens that will provide them with a lot of additional nutrients and variety in their diets. And then you get to enjoy the best eggs on earth and really happy chickens at hopefully a lower cost to you.
Absolutely. This is just a subject I have learned so much already. And Kristen, I definitely think we can add this to our arsenal.
Yeah,
For
I'd love some of these, have some of this stuff on our social media, like you mentioned, like the drawing, the sketch, the lists of plants, if there's any other plants.
I
Have
want
you
to.
ever
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
have you ever used deer forage? Is that comparable to the kind of forage that chickens
For
like to
raising
eat?
deer,
No, for growing forage for your chickens, is deer forage, the seeds sold for deer, are they comparable to the same forage that chickens like to eat?
I actually don't know. I'm not very familiar with my experience with deer as a gardener has been very defensive. Yeah, or like offense, playing offense against these deer coming in. But are you asking kind of thinking about like deer pressure and deer maybe wanting to come into
No,
these areas?
It sounds
no,
like
in
she
the
might
big
have some of it on hand and want to just go out there and throw it, see if it'll grow, and the chickens will enjoy
No,
it
well,
too.
in the big box stores, there's deer forage sold in bags, and it's a collection of seeds that are high protein, like turnip, peas, clover. Um, I don't remember everything right offhand. Chicory, just a bunch of high protein, leafy forage. Um, so
Plants,
I was
right?
just
But
wondering if
yeah,
that's.
all those are plants that would be amazing for chickens. I'm sure that you could just use that for sure.
Yeah, okay. So that could be an alternative for people who just want a variety of forage plants. They can use the deer forage that's sold in all the hardware stores and the big box stores.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That is such a good idea because you just simplified it. Like I'm thinking, what in the world's a comfrey? I don't know how to spell mullion. But another thing I just realized, and this is crazy. One thing I've learned over the years, it's usually the wife or one of the partners, I should say, wants the chickens, and then the other person doesn't. How many wives now could be like, "Honey, go get some deer forage," and
Absolutely. And you could just take it out into your run with a rake up the ground a little bit, loosen the soil, throw down, literally just throw into the wind handfuls of seeds, let them fall where they may. And depending on where you are, like in Santa Fe, we would have had to water it all in really carefully, really thoroughly, and probably cover it with a layer of hay. But if you're in Alabama, you could just leave it probably, right? And the rain will do the rest for you, and you'll have a great forage crop the next season.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. I would totally agree. Set it, forget it, throw it out there, let nature do its thing. So there's another question over there. Kristen, you want to read that one? I'm kind of anxious to hear the answer to this one. You read it so much better than I do.
Is that about the arbor?
This is about the arbor.
Okay, yeah. Bethany, I'm making an arbor for my chicken run for protection and shade. What suggestions do you have for planting on the arbor?
I would go with nasturtiums. They're beautiful. They're edible for humans and chickens. Edible flowers, or like maybe some peas.
Oh, that is a good idea.
Yeah, snow
Wait,
peas.
hold on. What was it called?
Nasturtium.
Oh yeah, I'm not even gonna try it. All right. Hopefully people know what that means. And Ingrid, I know you're listening and taking notes. I'm sure Jimmy is as well. This is all good stuff. I think we should definitely make sure we put this up on our social media. But just something real quick. I was
For
wondering,
sure.
your website, environmentalharmony.com. Do you have
Uh-huh.
a link that we can share that I know people are probably just salivating, going, "Oh my gosh, I want to learn more." Do you have a page set up yet specifically for chicken people?
I don't have a chicken page specifically. I do have a blog, and I will post all of this information to my blog and share that link with you guys and create a visual diagram for this garden design that I'm talking about. So that makes really easy for everyone to understand. I know I'm a super visual person, so I'm glad I was able to describe that to you guys, and you're not just like, what is she talking
No, I
about?
got it. I am just amazed, and I just love the system. It's like a machine. It's a biological machine that's going to work for
Yes,
you. And you
intelligent design. That's the way
intelligent
we have to grow forward as humanity.
intelligent design.
Hmm.
All right, so that's awesome. And then I know Jessica and Ingrid are both great gardeners. I love what Ingrid's doing with her microgreens. And then Jessica was mentioning that she had some questions, and I was trying to get her back on to ask these questions, but I know she's dying for a question. So Jessica, if you're still listening, shoot me a text. Let me know what you wanted to ask Bethany. Because Jessica is almost a master gardener, which I don't know really what that means, but it sounds pretty cool. And I would love to hear what she has to ask, because you would think people that are master gardeners, they know everything. But this is what I love, is just there's such a huge world of gardening, and this is the future without a doubt. And this is why, Bethany, I'm so excited for you, because I know that had to be scary to go from Santa Fe, move to the East Coast, start a business. And as an entrepreneur myself, I'm going to be one of your biggest fans, and I hope nothing but the best for you. And you will definitely be successful, because when you're doing what you love, which apparently obviously you do, you'll be extremely successful. And I just want to make sure we're able to team up in the future, because I know I have a lot of customers that would
Absolutely.
love to be able to, even today when we get off the show, I got some customers I would love to just send your way, and they're probably going to say, yeah, please come on out, because when we do the site surveys for chicken coops, um, customers find that very, very valuable. This is just going to take it a step further, because so many of our customers are also doing the gardening.
Yeah, teaming up and offering, chicken specific permaculture landscape design along with the coop setup could be a very, very cool route to go. And like you said, if you're driven by passion, I mean, it is scary to leave the known for the unknown, but what are you waiting for? If you have a purpose and a reason to be here,
Yeah,
something worthwhile to do.
so true. I can tell you, I made that leap. I remember feeling like I was jumping off a cliff without a parachute. And what really did it for me is when I realized the biggest thing I should be in fear of is not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the biggest risk, is not taking a risk at all. So all our listeners out there, especially the ones I often brag when I'm out doing a chicken coop, whether it's in California or wherever, I'll get up on the roof, and that's when it hits me. It's like, oh my gosh, I have the best cubicle, and so many people I know are stuck in those cubicles, not doing what they love to do. And I think that's just such a crime, because it's scary. But I can tell you firsthand, it's not that scary. If you're going to go do something you love to do, it'll be successful. It'll be there. And again, I'm so happy for you, and I hope we get to work a lot in the coming future.
Thanks, Matt. Likewise. You know what is more scary than going after something you're passionate about is being too afraid to do something that you care about, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been so happy to be sleep deprived the last 2 months. Oh man.
That is so true. That is so true. So also, I wanted to mention, are you still doing your podcast Growing Forward?
I am, yes.
Awesome. And I wanted to plug, I think I was your first one. I haven't been back yet to see how that's doing, but I hope that was doing well. But I'll never forget a question you asked me, and I was slightly embarrassed. And I said, dang, that's a good question. It just made me realize I don't do enough of it. And so I always said, I'm going to turn around and ask her, and I know you're going to have some great answers. But what is the book that you would recommend to go read? Good. That's the
Oh
same
man.
thing I said.
There are so many.
Well, if you want to
So
do a short list, we can post that as well.
yeah, awesome. Dirt to Soil by Gabe Brown is a regenerative agriculture book that it just is a really great overview of that whole regenerative agriculture movement, soil building with mob grazing cattle, and it's super amazing. Folks, This Ain't Normal, Joel Salatin. Oh man, he is like my guru, and that book
Let's go
has a
out and
chicken
meet
on the cover.
Joel. He's on our wish list. Joel Salatin. He is on my wish list to interview. If you do not know this man, go to YouTube right now. He reminds me of one of by far my favorite teacher I ever had in earth science, Joel Salatin. He is just like, he's just incredible. I wouldn't know where to begin, but he's like the poetic farmer.
Human.
Just to listen to him talk about farming and how it all cooperates, and that I'll never forget the question. Or, no, he made a point one time that I'll never forget, and that was he mentioned, what is he a farmer of? Because he's got pigs, he's got chickens, he's got turkeys, he's got so many great videos, and he explains it to simplify it.
The soil.
He farms the
Grass
soil,
farmer.
he farms grass, and
Yeah.
that's when it clicked. I said, my God, that is exactly it. So that's what I love about the man, and I hope that one day we can get him on the show, because I would love to pick his brain a little bit more.
Same
But
here.
you
He's
know,
also on my podcast wish list for sure.
very nice. Maybe we can team up. But I so want to go out and do the tour at Polyface Farms.
Polyface. Oh man, me too.
And I just I love the guy. He is just an amazing person to listen. He's just so sincere, so honest, and I love when he loves his fancy words that sometimes I got to go Google the definition, but he puts it in poetry in a way. It's just incredible.
That
Yeah,
sounds
so
like a tax write-off, actually, that trip.
I love where your head is at. Absolutely. We need to go do that. And, I will, and a part of me, I'm a little scared. I hope I seek his approval because, I know some people, which we're going to come up here a little bit, continue to talk about that coop envy with our YouTube channel. He makes his coops so simple. And I hope he does it. A lot of people are like, oh gosh, those are some expensive eggs. That's not why we do it. Anyone can, whatever. We'll talk about that when we cross that bridge. So, Bethany, thank you so much. That was absolutely awesome. We got to talk again in the future and plan for that date. And hopefully we can go do a coop soon. Go do a site survey, maybe a green roof or something.
Yeah, we'll have to have a Carolina Coops Environmental Harmony road trip to Polyface before too long.
We should
I'm
do
in.
Now
that.
that we're all over here. Great to talk with you. Nice to meet you, Kristen. Thanks so much
Yes.
for having me on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany.
All right.
Uh-oh. It worked. If you're driving right now, I apologize. You are not being pulled over. It is that time, 11 o'clock. We're actually 2 minutes early. Ingrid has just joined us. It's time to review the YouTube channel, the good, bad, and the ugly. Maybe the good, bad, and the great comments, hopefully. The great suggestions, right, Ingrid?
Exactly. Yes.
So real quick before we get started, Kristen, what that was awesome. That was better than I expected, especially when it comes to what is she? There was intelligent. Was it what she called intelligent? What?
Intelligent design?
Intelligent design. Ingrid, I'm assuming you can agree because one thing that I've always been in awe of what you've done with your gardens, or actually your house, is you've turned your entire corner property into a garden. And I imagine there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Not just what am I going to grow, but where.
Exactly. All the stuff that Bethany was talking about is stuff that we've incorporated. And it was great to hear her suggestions about incorporating the garden and the chickens, because that's not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
So, because I have a lot of stuff growing that I pick up and move and bring to different places, and I plant it. I said, oh, I have some oregano. Let me plant it by the chicken coop, and I bury it right in the predator apron, and they just dug it up. so, so I have to be a little bit more diligent about where I am planting it. So, but
Yeah.
it's Beth. I want Bethany and I to have a little field trip. I want her to have a field trip here, and then I want to go see her place, and then we'll all go to Polyface.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I enjoyed her company when we were out in Santa Fe because she really felt like one of us, where she's just honest, sincere, loves what she does. She's not one of those people that pretend to know it all, this and that, and she loves what she does. That's a sign of a good person to have around. So
Yeah.
definitely, Bethany, again, thank you so much for that time. And so back to YouTube.
Yeah. So,
What do you got for
by the
us?
way, well, I have two things just to mention that Bethany's video that you did with her was called the Deep Litter Method Explained, plus what to put in your run. It's the Santa Fe Modern Chicken Coop. So if you want to see that, and plus there's a behind the scenes with that one as well.
There is an awesome behind the scenes. If you are not already a subscriber, please go to YouTube, do a search. How do people find? What, they just search Carolina Coops, right?
Yeah, we have the link on the website
Perfect.
or the YouTube channel on the top there.
That is one
So
of the best behind the scenes videos. And what makes me so upset is we don't get nearly as many views for that. But maybe it's a compliment because people are there to learn about the coops, not see the madness that goes on behind the scenes, especially when you're 7,000 feet in elevation and you can barely breathe. But
The-
anyways,
the behind the scenes are my favorite
Mine
videos
too.
to do. So they take a long time, but they're a lot of fun. So because we had Bethany on, I wanted to mention some comments concerning her video with you.
I should have kept. Well, hold on. Is Bethany still? I think Bethany is still with us. Let me unmute her. I heard a little bit. Bethany, are you still with us?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I am so glad. I thought maybe you were leaving, but Bethany, here we go. Welcome to my world. You ready for this?
Hi,
Okay, let's
Bethany.
just do it. Hey, Ingrid, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So this was my favorite comment, I think, of all time, because people are very enamored with you, Bethany. So Bob Smith said, "My first hen is going to be named Bethany." So
Oh man, I hope it's like a Sussex pullet or an Arcana, a really mean.
now there was a lot of comments on how hot you are and how you're a hammer and that you are smart and good looking and everything. You have a big
That's
fan
really
club.
nice.
You had a big fan club there. And Deborah said, "Wow, this is the most educational video you've ever done. I'm pumped. Thank you."
Awesome.
Yeah, it
People
was.
loved you guys talking about the composting with the deep litter.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Bethany, that is something too. I want to, in the future, dive into the science more. I want to learn more about the composting. And I do agree. That was one of the best descriptions of the YouTube or on YouTube about the composting. And I feel like we could expand so much more on that. So hopefully we can plan something for the future, definitely to dive into the difference. Because here's the thing, the difference between anaerobic and aerobic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
Oh,
definitely.
I'm sorry. Are you asking me right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a bad way. Yeah. So, yeah, in the future, we definitely got to hammer that out a little bit more because one of the myths that I think a lot of people have, and I was wrong in the beginning. I thought this too, and I thought it was a benefit, but they're like, that's going to be a heat source. It's going to get too hot in the hen house. But when you describe that it doesn't get hot because there's a lack of oxygen, that this is just like how you compost human manure, you know,
Right.
so.
By the way, also with the human manure thing, there are a lot of people on YouTube who claim that the only way these super desertified 2/3 world countries, like huge swaths of Africa, can no longer grow their own crops because they've destroyed their topsoil so much. The only way they're going to be able to turn that around is by broad scale human manure composting. So I know in the first world in America, we defecate into clean water, so responsible waste management is not our forte, but it's hilarious to me how shocked people were by that term.
And I couldn't even imagine flying over there and participating in that. That is when it told me that this chick is pretty cool. I couldn't do it. You must really love what you do, like I was just saying. So what else you got for us, Ingrid?
There was another positive one that said that from Crystal Dragon, "I've been enjoying the videos, but this was the one that got me to subscribe. So thank you for the info in a good, fun, and positive way." So that was a good one.
Awesome. What was her name?
The handle was Crystal Dragon.
Is that what I got to call it? The handle? I'm wrong by saying what her name is.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm sorry. What was the handle?
Crystal Dragon.
That's what Crystal Dragon. That's a pretty good handle. Bravo to you, Crystal Dragon. Thank you so much.
So now we have somebody from, it was a different video. if you wanted to get into Hillbilly BMX.
Oh, this is gonna be good. I can tell
Yeah.
already. Here we go. Hillbilly. Come on, Hillbilly. What do you
So
got?
this was in comment to the duck chicken coop, the Craftsman duck chicken coop, and it was about the hemp. So he says, straight from France. Wow, because you need wood chip from France. So do you sell ice cubes to Eskimos too? So I explained to him that we weren't speaking about wood chips, but about hemp. And then he started telling me I was wrong. So he said that he said your guy put a bale of chips in and said these are straight from France. Watch the video, bud. Pay attention to your own words before you try to correct me, buddy. You're wrong.
Are you freaking kidding me right now?
That's how he's.
Hey,
answering
Hillbilly,
me.
give us a call right now. 929-32 Coops, please, please. Absolutely. You know, and we're gonna start giving out these YouTube Chicken Police shirts to people like this. So
I don't know if that's encouraging this behavior.
I don't get. Well, it's not going to be
Yeah,
for everyone.
I'm with Kristen on that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm with Kristen.
You know, it's just, well, it's like killing them with kindness, and that's just kind of the person I like to be most of the time. So hold on, let me understand this. He's telling me that I used the wrong words by saying
No,
Go ahead.
I don't
No,
think he understands what hemp is.
yeah, he thought that hemp was basically pine shavings that you said were from France. So I explained to him that there was industrial hemp, and that our grower is in France, and that it can't always be grown here. There's a lot of regulations, which is why we have it from a manufacturer in France. And I gave him links to see what the hemp bedding was all about, and he's just telling me I'm wrong. And I said, he said you should watch the video, and I said I don't have to watch the video because I edited the video. So
Absolutely.
so I said, you know,
Okay. All right.
I
Well,
just tried to explain to him what we were talking about, and with different links so he could see.
yeah, he's I don't want to say it. Thanks a lot, Hillbilly, but you're way wrong. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. Which video was this again?
That was for the Craftsman chicken and duck coop.
Is that the one in Virginia?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, guys, if you get a chance, and you haven't seen that video, that's an awesome chicken coop. Go check it out. And yeah, no, it's hemp. It's industrial hemp. The stuff is awesome. And yeah, it comes in from France. Pretty soon it's going to come from America. It's going to be grown right here. They're slowly getting there. But of course, everything in America, they got to regulate it. The government's got to figure out how to get their cut. That's all we're waiting on. That's really what it really comes down to. And it is going to happen. And also, I know a lot of people are asking, when is the industrial hemp coming in? I think we're up to like 400 people on the waiting list. I apologize. It's going to be here hopefully within the next couple weeks. I cannot wait. we're hopefully they send a couple UPS trucks when we go to fill that truck. So that is going to be out. So anyways, very good, Hillbilly. What else you got, Ingrid?
So somebody asked about the Bethany video. This was a question. They wanted some information. They said, what about winter ventilation? If you seal in the wind chill, where does that leave the fumes? So maybe you can explain how our coops are made even when the windows were closed and stuff.
So when we close off the windows, where do the fumes go?
In the hen house, I guess.
Absolutely.
He's talking about.
That is actually a very good question, because there is, that topic of insulating and heating the hen house. I think people get it so wrong. And so in order for me to comment on that, let me explain this first. You do not want to heat your hen house. You do not need to heat your hen house. And what happens is people make the mistake of, when you go to heat something, in this case the hen house, you think, well, it's time to insulate it. Well, if you insulate and seal it up, yeah, you're going to keep the warm air in, but you're also trapping the moisture. And that's all fine and dandy at night when the chickens are sleeping until they got to get up in the morning and you need them to go work. They get down inside that run. Now it's like getting out of the shower. They're covered with all that moisture. They go down in there and you have a much higher chance of frostbite. So you want consistency. But to get to the point here, well, this is why you don't insulate it. You close off the windows. The reason for closing off the windows is not to keep it warmer in there. It's to stop the wind chill. There's a big difference between temperature and wind chill. Period. Now, here's the other thing. There is still ventilation. Those hen houses still breathe, especially up through the ridge cap. That is very important. And we have just learned, just by closing off those windows. I don't care. We got coops all the way up in Alaska, up into Canada. They have 0 problems. You just block the wind chill.
You do have ventilation along the eaves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
still will exhale. It still will
Yeah.
breathe up along the eaves, out through the ridge cap, and if you have the cupola, there's really not a science behind it. Just block off the wind chill. It's really that simple. And then yet you don't want to trap moisture. I've seen this in today's construction with new homes where they insulate them so well that they're trapping moisture. Believe it or not, there is that perfect ratio. And if I remember correctly, a home, oh God, I'm going to have some builders shoot me. The number 30% comes to me where you actually got to have the house breathe. Even if all your windows are shut, the house is still breathing. It's finding that happy medium because you don't want to trap in moisture. You're going to have major problems. So hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
You haven't
and
made
then
me mad yet, Ingrid. Come on, there's got to be one that get me
there,
going.
you
Or I'm
weren't. I
getting to
was
be
mad
too
about
nice.
hillbilly.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, how dare he call our hemp wood chips?
Oh,
No,
it's the
and then
furthest
argue
thing
with
from
me.
wood chips. Yeah, and then to argue. And listen, I'm paying Ingrid to argue with these people, so maybe you don't deserve a T-shirt. You know, but yeah, you don't got to spend. Some of these people, they're just they don't
Hemp
have
is so much cooler than wood chips.
way
It
cooler,
really is.
way cooler. All
But
right, what else you got?
let's see, what else do I got? Um, I think I did these. Oh, some people were asking about doing deep litter with rabbits. Did we touch on that at all?
Speaking of rabbits, did you guys see? I am the worst father in the world. My daughter Jetta, she is just like me. We went and got another little bunny, and what's
Uh-oh.
funny is we went to this lady's house, and I told her, I said, Jetta, we got to get there real quick before she leaves at 12:30. And she goes, why would a store be closed at 12:30? I'm going, oh dear, honey. I go, Jetta, this is a breeder. And she's like, huh? We get there, and she's in awe. We get the little baby bunny, we leave, and in the back seat she goes, Daddy, I want to just be like her, but instead of 1,000 bunnies, I want 100,000 bunnies. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. But there's a lot of people that raise rabbits for meat. And here's the other thing. And then I'm gonna bring Bethany. I see Bethany still on. I had to mute her because there's some background noise. I'm gonna unmute you if you're still there. Bethany, are you still there?
I'm here.
So thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us. There's a lot of background noise, so I apologize. I had to mute you. But correct me if I'm wrong to begin with. You cannot over fertilize with rabbit droppings. Is that true?
I actually don't know. I've never raised rabbits on my own. I'm guessing probably super high in nitrogen, their droppings, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've been told.
I don't know how that would compare with chicken droppings. Are they different?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I don't know either.
Rabbits are vegetarians. Chickens aren't.
Right.
Okay, so
We know
that'll
that
make the
much.
droppings different.
Here
So,
we go.
so
Since rabbit dung breaks down quickly, there's usually little threat of burning the roots of plants. Rabbit manure fertilizer is rich in nitrogen and phosphorus.
and that's exactly what I was told by an
Okay.
old school farmer years ago in East Texas. And they're usually, well, so I said, I'll never forget that because he's like, boy, you need to make some rabbit hutches. I'm like, all right, someday. And then, but he explained to me that how excellent the fertilizer is because you can't overdo it because I've seen that. I'll never forget my first ex-brother-in-law. He decided to fertilize his lawn. Next thing you know, I'm thinking it's going to be lush and green. No, he burned it. And that was my first lesson in over-fertilization. So there's definitely a future. So now to get to the point is, can it compost? Is there anything that can't be composted?
Like meat and bones, really toxic. Things like dog feces, anything like that, I know has to be composted for a really long time at higher temperatures.
But it still can be
Everything
composted.
breaks down.
Right.
Nature is constantly composting everything.
Right. So I would have to say, one, I would love to find out more about it. And we have done rabbit hutches for the record too. We've done rabbit hutches or rabbit structures. And I definitely see a future for it, especially with food security. More, and I hope to raise it. I know it's going to sound awful, but I've never ate rabbit. I want to, but I want that security of knowing there's other.
Can we get Jetta's input on that?
Oh dear, no.
Yeah, and can I just say,
Does she
Matt,
know?
Matt, do you know that sexing baby bunnies is harder than sexing silkies? So you might have more bunnies than you want.
Well, can I say this then? I
I'm
know
just
we're
telling you that right now.
so well. Let me say this then to that point. 'Cause I know we're getting way off topic, but again, for even our chicken people, this is chickens are the gateway drug into homesteading, and rabbits are coming right after turkeys, right after ducks, probably after goats. Then comes rabbits. We should do a T-shirt that says that, and it's like a timeline. MJ, who came in, who's one of our employees that is helping get this farm up and running. Jetta went running out to her and said, MJ, please come in and sex my bunnies, because that one bunny, her original bunny, just dominated the baby bunny. So I thought it was a male, and she came in, and MJ did say, yeah, it's difficult to sex them, but she showed me. I thought it was quite easy. So unless we're wrong, but you kind of
Maybe
just
I'm wrong then.
Maybe it's the babies that are hard to sex.
Yeah, I think
well,
the baby.
she
Yeah.
sexed
That
her
would make
baby,
sense.
the baby bunny, the mini lop. She showed me, and they were identical body parts, but she made it look so easy. So maybe that's the hard part, is knowing how to handle them, because it was the same way with reptiles, is you had to push on them a certain way to see if they had, actually have two penises, believe it or not, hemipenis, I think it was called. So it's not hard to identify once you see it. What's hard is getting it out. So anyways,
Oh, no.
so composting rabbit droppings. Oh, did I say something? What did I just do? Anyways, okay. So let's learn more about that composting rabbit droppings. But I have to say, absolutely.
According to MSU, Michigan State University, you do not have to compost rabbit droppings before putting them directly on your garden.
So there's no need for the deep litter is basically what we're saying, I guess, right?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
You know what else, to that point, that just occurred to me when we went to this lady's house that had rabbits everywhere? I kid you, this is going to sound so disgusting. She had wheelbarrows underneath the screen floors, huge wheelbarrows that were completely full. It looked like a giant bowl of Cocoa Puffs just overflowing. There was no smell. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it's nothing. There's no carbon. It was so I guess I can see that, absolutely.
Oh, let's not forget about our giveaway. Let's not run
Oh
out of time.
yeah, I guess it
yeah,
is. We
yeah.
did get a little
We gotta
behind.
go.
All right, we'll do that as soon as we get done with YouTube. But thank you, Kristen, for
I think we're
reminding me.
done.
Are you sure?
We're done.
That was good.
I don't.
I'm going to start putting mean stuff up there.
I got more mean stuff, but I got to save it for next week.
All right. Well, Ingrid, thank you so much. It was great seeing you. Thank you for all your help you do over there. Down
Thank you,
also in
Matt.
Raleigh, North Carolina. You are welcome. Can't do this without you. Keep up the good work. And
You guys too.
we
You're doing
will-
a great job.
thank you. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
It is 11:17. Can you believe an hour and 17 minutes already? Now, I have noticed something about this particular show. I'm not sure if people have tried calling in. We're having problems because nobody has actually called in except for that one caller. So I'm not sure if we just don't have people that want to call in anymore. But that's okay because there have been a lot of questions submitted. And I am ready if you want to go ahead and announce the winner of the egg collecting apron from Fluffy Layers. Do we have a drum roll?
I don't have a drum roll.
I don't have a drum roll either. Anyways, do you want go ahead and announce it?
Her name is Chris, and her handle is @myauntsaremarching. And if she's not listening, we will go ahead and message her directly on Instagram and coordinate getting that prize to her.
Chris, thank you so much. Congratulations. My aunts are marching. Another great. I am not good at creating a good handle name. And of course, I am a Dave Matthews fan, so that kind of reminds me of Dave Matthews, right? Am I wrong? Am I losing it? My aunts are marching.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was a line in one of the songs. So, Chris, congratulations. Please make sure you email us so we can know where to send this for you. Congratulations. So, 11:20. Kristen, let's do a couple questions. What do you say?
Yeah, we can do a couple.
Yeah.
We probably need to wrap up.
Yeah, we need to wrap up soon, and I know we got chicken news coming up too soon. So
Right.
let's do a couple questions. And there is a gentleman, if you could read Jason Snyder out there. He's been a very consistent. I definitely appreciate. He's got a lot of great questions. Go ahead, Go ahead and read us that one question there. Right in the
Yeah,
middle.
Jason wrote in. He said, please discuss best electric fence setup with your coops. Also, is kill safe to be used as a primer or generally near the chickens? Also, please discuss how to secure free range chickens at the end of a day. I'm
Ooh.
going to have you answer the electric fence because I know this is something that you're experimenting with, but I'll go ahead and answer the free range chickens at the end of the day. Again, man, this is a theme for the show, but chicken instincts, they're so strong. You don't have to do anything. They go right back to where their home is. They go back to the coop right at sunset, right before sunset every single day. It it's
It's
happens
it's just that
without
easy. You
any
can almost
effort.
set your
Yeah,
watch to it. And I almost
right.
want to say sometimes you see them come back in the same order every night. And
Hmm.
if you don't believe us, go to, again, Carolina Coop's YouTube channel. I don't remember the name of the video, forgive me, but just do a search for, I think his name was Drumstick. I kid you not. We took a rooster from our shop that was driving me nuts over there. He was in a chick coop. We brought him 5 miles from the shop to the farm. We had to cross the New York State Thruway, Canandaigua Outlet, and come up another 2 miles. Anyways, the rooster disappeared. His name was Drumstick. Drumstick disappeared. 2 weeks later, where do we find him? Right back at the chicken coop at the shop. They know where home is. They are creatures of habit. Yes, like Kristen's saying, let their instincts work to your advantage. But the biggest thing is if you are going to let them out, if you're okay with free ranging, don't try to be like Rocky, trying to chase the chicken around. If you let them out, make sure let them come back on their own right before sunset.
Okay. All right. Well, what about this electric fence? And if you want to mention anything about kills.
So Kills, I'm assuming he's referring to Kills Primer. And I have very little experience with the use of Kills Primer. I do know that a lot of people, and I'm not saying there's not a reason for concern, but when paints are curing, they can emit a fume. Absolutely. I've been poisoned once myself painting in a closed bathroom. I was not happy at the end of that day. So it is very real. But once it cures, I don't, I'm not a scientist, but it's not, I can't see a reason why it would be an issue. And a lot of times I think people mistake chicken pecking and chicken eating. We talked a little about this in the beginning of the show with Shelly, that a lot of people are like, "Oh, those chickens are eating the hemp." No, they're not. They're pecking, right, Kristen? And that I remember you've always told me that's their way. They're curious creatures. That's their way of smelling.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
So we paint already the inside of the coops, and we never ever have had an issue. But specifically kills, my best advice would be read the label, read the fine print on the back of that can, and I am most certain on the back of that can there's going to be a customer service phone number. And I would call them. And I know they're going to be a little biased. Everyone's going to be biased about their product, but I would say that's going to probably be your best answer to give them a call. And I think I might do the same things. I would like to know for sure myself. Now, as far as the electric fence, right?
Right.
Discuss the best electric fence setup. So, as far as the best electric fence setup, yes, I just started experimenting with this last year because my turkeys were going to my neighbor's house, roosting on their front porch, and oh my gosh, was it a mess. I felt so bad. And so I incorporated the electric fence, and I absolutely love it. I still use it today. And as far as answering the best setup, I got to give, again, Polyface Farms with Joel Soliton. The man's he's a genius, and he puts it so simple. I watched his videos. He uses a lot of the fencing. And one of the things he mentioned about setting it up, and it is an art, there absolutely is an art to it, do it in a circle. It just makes sense. If you try to corner it in a 90, you're putting too much tension on that corner stake. And they're flimsy, but they're designed to be put in the ground real quick, and then you can move them. But when you do it in a circle, you're distributing the tension equally on all those posts, and it looks so much better. And then another little tip I've learned is, especially if you're not on level ground, it can get a little loose on top. Well, you just go to the top of each post and you can loop the nylon netting around to kind of take up that tension. So I hope that answers the question, the best electric fence setup. But other than that, there's a lot of great products out there that they all pretty much work the same. And I can tell you too, I don't want to say this wrong. This is the one time I absolutely love the use of solar because you don't need a lot of power. So the storage banks with the built-in solar panel that come with a lot of these electric fences, they work well. Just make sure they're pointed south and you'll be in good shape.
Great. So you mean you're using one of those portable fencing?
Yes. but it's not portable.
I just wanted to
Well, I'm not
clarify.
using it being portable. It was definitely,
Right.
and I do love it. I tell you, it has made a huge difference. And also because, we do have predators. Well, we all have predators. God, I just sound just like our customers. We all have predators. But I mean, I got coyotes screaming around here at night. It's incredible. My French Mastiff goes nuts. And it is another great barrier. Due diligence. I have complete faith in the protection of our chicken coops. But for those people that, have built their own coop, if you're a little worried about the quality of your run that you built, you surround that with the electric fencing. That's going to add a great layer of protection, especially if you're nocturnal creatures that will try to get into your coop at night where the highest pressure is. So there's some more
Okay.
questions there, and I see we got a caller. You ready to take a call real quick?
Yeah, we can take a call.
All right, so we're going to bring in, we have a gentleman by the name of Sean from Annapolis Junction. I have not read his question yet, but I am going to click on talk. We are going to bring in Sean. So it's not afternoon yet. So good morning, Sean.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
It is going extremely well. I am very happy right now. I'm loving life. It's been a dream to have this show and to have surrounded by all these people helping make it possible and to have a caller call in. I haven't read your question yet. What can we do for you?
Sure. So let me just, maybe it came across a little squirrely in my call, but my name's Mike. I'm out in Leesburg, Virginia, and I'm calling because today is my son's birthday. He just turned 10, and he's been begging us for chickens for months. Through this whole COVID-19 thing, we've been staying home. And the thing that we've been getting out to do and only do is on the weekends we took a liking to hitting the hillside in Virginia and going and finding some chicken eggs, that local people have been doing, and our kids love the color of the eggs. So we finally gave in yesterday. We ordered him 10 chickens, and I'm doing all my due diligence to try and make sure that my sons have a good experience. So I looked at your coops, and I'm on a deadline now because the chicks should arrive here June 8th. But I expect that they'll probably be in the brooder in 3 weeks or something like that. So I'm trying to figure out timelines, like how long do coop either resurrected. I'm still trying to nail down in touch with Non, I think it is, so that I can get some timelines and see if we can fit that in. I've been the American coop.
I'm starting to lose you a little bit, and I so apologize. Yes, I now see that, Mike from Annapolis Junction. So I'm starting to lose you a little bit. So if you can work on maybe walking around a little bit to get your signal. So just to recap real quick. One, happy birthday to your son, and congratulations on the new baby chick. So I lost him a little bit. Kristen, help me out here. So he went and got 10 eggs that they're going to hatch themselves.
No, I think they have chicks on order.
So I
that are
ordered
coming.
10 baby chicks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So
Well,
got-
congratulations for finding chicks.
Go ahead.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is very hard to find right
I
now.
thought chicks were all sold out.
So you got
Yeah, so I got him from My Pet Chicken, and he liked the different color eggs, so I got him a bunch of Easter eggers, and stuff that he likes, the copper Moran or the really dark eggs. So, through this COVID-19 stuff, the one kind of solace we found ourselves doing is just searching out these eggs, and the kids wanted it. So now I'm here, figuring out how I'm going to build a coop in that amount of time or get one from y'all in that amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very common theme this time of year. Come end of May, beginning of June, we call them our bathtub calls, where people are raising their baby chicks in their bathtub. They forgot, or they didn't realize how fast they're going to grow, and they call us going, Matt, I need my coop now. And unfortunately, this time of year, and especially you put a global pandemic on top of it, right now we are booked, believe it or not, all the way out to, I think we're pushing November now, for just shipping
Wow.
production coops. I know. I am heartbroken. It was actually hard for me to get those words out. I am so thankful to be busy because I know how many people they're out of work. They can't get their unemployment. This fear drives our business, to be honest with you. And I am glad then what that tells me is we're part of the solution. But what makes me even more happy is that people are waking up, again, that food security. There's been so many good things that have come from this pandemic, especially to, the families are staying home. Well, I think that's been good for a lot of people. I think the divorce rate has gone up a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. I know a lot of parents are like, "Oh my,
Yep.
this is the greatest opportunity to get to see their kids more." So, yeah, if you were to order, say I think you mentioned the American coop before you cut off there a little bit. Awesome, awesome chicken coop, the best coop for the best price. That's our number one seller. We're well into November. However, we do have our expedited schedule, and I don't know what that schedule is right now. I'm going to find out. I'm not sure if you would entertain the expedited schedule, but if I have other people listening saying, I got to order a chicken coop, they're in the same situation you're in, I can find out. And then also,
Matt, what does the expedited schedule mean?
Oh, okay. So the expedited schedule means basically you pay a little bit extra to cover the people in the shop that are building the chicken coops. They're overtime, and they work Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day, and then every Friday they work another 10 hours, and we schedule in 2 production coops. And they're on OT, so they're loving that, well, for the most part. And it allows the customer to get it a little bit sooner. So I'm actually going to call Nan right now. I am going to find out. I'm scared to ask her, and I should know this. And I know you did mention possibly building. Nan?
Hi.
Hey, you're on the air a little bit. I'm not sure if anyone can hear you. What is our next, if someone was to order an American Coop expedited, what is the next date?
It's so weird hearing you behind me and in my ear all at the same time.
Sorry.
My next available build date on the expedited schedule is going to be September 4th.
September 4th. Okay, thank you, Nan.
You're very welcome.
So that doesn't help that much.
So it
No.
sounds like I'm building my coop, which is fine. I got a perfect blueprint to build based off your guys' videos, and
Thank you.
I really appreciate the time and effort it takes. I know those things aren't zero effort, so I'll do my best to clone it. But I'm just trying to,
Okay.
learn all the bits and pieces as much as I can before. But I think is it fair to say that I've got 3 weeks once they're in the brooder that I better have something resurrected and ready to roll?
They actually stay in the brooder for about, depending on the weather, I would
Hey,
say
Matt, did I
5
lose ya?
weeks. Oh, he can't hear me.
Oh, can you not hear Kristen? Mike,
Hey,
are you
Matt,
still
did I
there?
lose you?
Uh-oh, we might have
Yeah,
lost.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I Kristen started to respond to you. You weren't able to hear Kristen? Uh-oh. Are we losing? Jimmy, are we dropping? What's going on right now? We
It's
might
okay.
have...
Just answer his question.
All right, so Mike, if you can still hear me, well, it's been so long now, I forgot
can.
what... Oh, you there?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So typically what Kristen was saying is 5 to 6 weeks is typically when it's safe to take your young hens and put them out into the brooder. What you're looking for is that they don't need that heat source, that they have all their adult feathers, and they're able to control their own body temperature with their own down comforter, if you will, and those outside feathers keeping all the heat in. So you can eliminate the heat source. Now, what I can tell you, be ready as soon as possible because they grow fast, and just make sure it's extremely safe. Predator pressure is incredible. It's every single night. And what I always tell people is you can use your hen house as the brooder if you want. But just whatever you use for a heat source, be extremely careful. I love the Brincy. It's a heat plate. I'm not a fan of the heat lamp. I know it's cheap, readily available. But the heat plate is very, very safe. And then you can use your brooder. You can use your hen house as a brooder. But if you want to do it more the traditional way, it's wait the 5 to 6 weeks. But I can tell you after about 3 weeks, going on 4 weeks, you're going to want them out of your house and inside.
Yeah, they get dusty.
Yeah, they get dusty, they get smelly. So I hope that helps you. And again, thank you so much for all your compliments on our designs. I wish I could sell you a coop. I really do, but I apologize. But again, thank you. If you're not going to buy one of my coops, learn
Thank
from
you.
us. Build your own coop, and we're always here if you have any other questions. And of course, the other tactic is we have all kinds of accessories. Check out our heated water system. It is the best system for when it comes to water. Check out the industrial hemp. It will be back in stock. Definitely, as you're designing your chicken coop, build it using that deep litter system. You will thank us later.
Got it. Well, Matt, thanks again for all your time, all your effort. It's clear that you love chickens, and to be honest, watching your YouTube videos has inspired me and my sons. So we'll stay in touch for sure. I'll let you know if I fail miserably or succeed willingly, and nonetheless, it'll be definitely because I follow the good game plan if I do succeed. So appreciate your time and effort again.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
All right, thanks. All right, Kristen's waving to me on the other side of the computer screen, telling me we got to wrap up the show. It is that time. We're trying to cut it down to an hour and a half, but this was fun. So everyone out there, if you're still with us, thank you very much for listening. And again, if you have any comments, questions for us, the edited recording will be up for this episode next week, but you can always go to radiochicken.com, submit your questions, give us a call, 929-32-COOPS, and we will continue to get to more of those questions. I appreciate the questions coming in. I'm sorry that we did not get to all of them. And also, before I forget, you can text to 929-32-COOPS. And let us know what we can do, what's working, what's not working, what you guys would like to hear. Kristen, I can't thank you enough for being here. I know this is so tough for you as far as breaking away from everything, but I do know and I see how much you love it.
I do. It's my favorite part of the week.
Mine too. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate you being here, and we will see you next week.